would win in this one 3-2.
Ohio State versus Michigan softball, number 6. Michigan Sierra Lawrence lines the center, but Taylor White comes on and makes the diving catch.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to HeyBucket Live. I'm your host, Sammy Glantz. This week, our special guest is someone very near and dear to my heart, one of my favorite all-time teammates, former softball player at The Ohio State University and current assistant coach at Howard University. Thank you so much for joining us this week, Miss Taylor White.
Hey, excited to be here.
So just for our viewers at home, I thought it would be cool if we could go back to when we first met. We were 8th graders at a friendly. Our dads kind of both knew that we would be attending the same high school. We were both catchers, both going for the same position, but it was always nice to, have a familiar face going into high school. And then our friendship kind of took off from there. Do you kind of remember that day that we first met?
Dude, yeah, it was like, I'm pretty sure your dad walked up to us and was just like, hey, like, are you Taylor White? This is my daughter, Samantha Glantz, and you guys are both going to high school together. So here you go. I'm like, okay, cool. Nice to meet you. Like, good luck in the rest of your games, I guess, for the day. And maybe I'll see you around. And then from there, after, I just like kind of remember us being friends. Like, It was just weird. It just happened. We were just friends. So it was cool though.
For us, it's been nice that we've stayed close, after all these years. Being freshmen and competing for that same spot, I think something that was cool was that we were able to remain friends while we were competing. And then, you had that position change going to the outfield. How was that for you?
I loved it. I mean, I loved catching when I was young, and that's what I did. But basically, like my whole life, I was groomed to be a catcher, and then all of a sudden I kind of started playing, and it was when I started playing for Corona Angels. Marty was basically like, hey, you're way too fast to be behind the plate, so go chase balls in the outfield. And so that's kind of how it got started, which helped in turn when we went to Chaminade together, because we could switch off. I could go in the outfield and you could catch. And so that helped us both, like, in our quest to make varsity. But I love outfield. I love catching. And so chasing balls is a little bit more fun, and I am fast. So it's kind of cool to just snag people's hits, but I like both.
I'm so thankful that you did move to outfield, because I can't play another position. So definitely needed that from you.
You were at short for a little.
Oh no, that's not the position for me. So how was playing for Marty Tyson? You were on the Corona Angels, one of the most prestigious teams, travel ball teams in the country. Alumni, ridiculous list, right? You have Rachel Garcia, Sydney Romero, Leah Wodak, Kylie Reed. The list just goes on and on. How was that being surrounded by some of the best in the country?
A lot of times, the seldom times that we did lose, we knew it was because we did something wrong. And it has to be when you have pitchers on your staff and just great players like Rachel Garcia and Shane Knight, and we had Alexis Osorio pitching for us, just crazy people. You guys have the skill to do it. And so if you execute like your coach says, and Marty's usually right, you guys will get it done. And so it was fun. It was fun competing. It was fun even going to practice, even though sometimes we'd get in trouble. We have all these stories about practicing, having to run suicides all the time. We used to run 300-yard shuttles for conditioning, and we were getting pit. Me, Jessica Scroggins, Jasmine Jackson, we'd all have to race against each other in it, and whoever lost it, an extra one. But we're all fast, and somebody's going to lose. So, we're like, okay, we're trying, but somebody's going to lose. It's just any given day. And so it was fun, though, and clearly made us better. We love Marty. He's great from the outside looking in, hard on everyone, yelling all the time, but he's a huge teddy bear. We still go back and see him, but it was good. I loved playing for Corona Angels. If I went back and did another year of travel, I'd definitely be with them.
That's awesome. So your relationship with Marty's great, obviously, and now you're working for his daughter, Tori, at Howard University. How's that going for you guys?
We love it. I mean, it's crazy how similar Tori and Marty are. I'm very clearly working for Marty Tyson's daughter, but I love it. She's a big teddy bear too, even though she tries to act like she's not, she is. And we just know everything. It's kind of nice that the way I grew up and just the mentality that I have about playing softball, about just hitting, just all the ins and outs, little things are what my head coach is teaching to our team. And so now I'm just literally so seamlessly teaching what I know. Like, I'll see something from across the field, Tori will be yelling it from across the field, and I'll be like, I just told you that. Like, it's just, we kind of bounce off each other, and it's super easy. And so it's just a really seamless system that I could just use in high school, take to college, and now my post-college and my like real life job.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think that's something that's super cool that, you know, that we're both able to do is we've both been able to use softball, and now we're making money doing it, doing what we love. I work for Fox Sports San Diego, and I produce Padres baseball, and you're still coaching. And I think that's something that, you know, we're forever grateful for softball for, you know.
It's totally cool. I mean, how it came full circle for us, and it's how we met. Like, at the softball field, we're still here all these years later talking about softball, and we're using it for us. It's a great tool, and like, we're getting the most out of the sport that we committed to for so long. So it's kind of nice to see all the rewards that come from like your long commitment, because I know there were Saturday mornings when we were in high school where we're like, no, we don't want to go, or even all the school dances that we missed, or like just like so many social things that seem so important when you're in high school, and like, you don't know how to fast forward 10 years and like, well, if you go to practice today, you might be a softball coach, or you might work for Fox Sports San Diego. Like, you don't see that. And so it is really cool to see it come full circle.
Yeah, I think just the daily grind, right? Like you said, we were missing homecomings, we're missing proms, but being with your teammates and you know, being at Huntington Beach and getting to say hi to you, pop over to Field 3 and see T-Dub and the Crone Angels and just saying hi. And it's like every weekend was just kind of like a little friend reunion for us at travel ball. It was really such a small world.
It was definitely cool to see all your friends like going from park to park and just like, oh, Sam's here today. Oh, we kind of get to hang out. Like, we can't really like go to whichever, but like, we can hang out at the park. Let's go to the snack bar together and get a quesadilla. Like, so that was fun.
Yeah,
it definitely was like our hangout. But also, I mean, competing. And so that's fun too. Like, whenever we would match up.
Absolutely.
Went well for us. But whenever we would match up, that was fun. I mean, it was. I'm like, oh, we get to play Sam today? Cool. Like, we never, like, you don't always get to play your friends. And so it was fun. Even the Batbuster Stith rival with us was like, it was still fun.
Shout out Amanda Lorenz.
Might have been any given day somebody wins. Yeah, shout out Amanda Lorenz. But it was still fun. I mean, we go back and forth with everybody, but like, now we have these long-term relationships that like you never would have known like would have come. And so
absolutely like, so not only did we meet some of our very best friends from softball, but we have developed our work ethic, the grind, the, you know, just persevering through tough times, persevering through a slump, you know, like, you don't give up. What are like some of the other big lessons you feel like you've learned from softball?
I mean, the biggest is just perseverance. Like, softball is a failure sport. If you cannot handle failure, you will not be able to handle softball. Like, it is what it is. You're going to go out and you're going to fail. If you're good, 7 of the 10 times. That's like, if you're top. Not everybody is top. So you might be failing 8 out of 10 times. That's a lot of failure for like a kid to take in. And so, especially when you're going through with all the stresses of getting recruited, like college coaches are there, so you're nervous up to bat. But the biggest thing, and just like in everything in life, is like, keep swinging. So cliche, but life throws you curves. It really does. And curves suck, but you got to stay in there. And so, yeah, softball.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting too, is we can touch on, you know, just the pressure of recruitment. Especially, you know, we're on HeyBucket, and, you know, this is a lot of these girls' dreams is to play college softball. And I just wanted to see, maybe we could touch on both of our recruiting stories. I was recruited, you know, as a sophomore. I committed to Auburn, and my coaches got fired. And there you have it, you know, like, they don't have to honor everything. Nothing signed, it's just a verbal. So I was kind of scrambling a little bit to find a new team or a new college to go to. And my junior year, I ended up committing to University of Utah. And so that was definitely a different story, coming in a little bit later than the other girls in terms of verbaling. What about you? What was the recruiting process like for you?
So being a Corona Angel, I feel like mine was a little bit different than most. We didn't attend a lot of camps. We would have like practices or scrimmages before a friendly, and coaches would kind of just come to our field to look because they know that Corona Angels is the top team in Southern California. So coaches, like, I was grateful for that coaches kind of just migrated towards us. We had a lot of girls that were already committed, so their coaches would come see people play. And that's kind of how my path to Ohio State worked. Our coach had come to, and I think it might have been a friendly, and they came to see one of my good friends, Ashley Goodwin, play and catch, and I was catching. And so they were like, oh, wait, like, who's that catching? One, where's our catcher? Two, who is this girl? And so that's kind of how my path to Ohio State started. They started recruiting me. And I knew nothing about Ohio State. Like, I was not big into watching college athletics. I just knew that I was going to go to college somewhere and be a student athlete. And so I knew nothing about Ohio State athletics, literally nothing. And so they like called me and I'm like, Ohio State who? No, like, I don't care. What is Ohio State? Where is Ohio? Iowa or Ohio, Idaho? I don't know those states. Like, never will I go there. And I ended up taking a visit. I fell in love with Ohio State. I went for a football game, and even though it was like the coldest I've ever been, and I like snowboard too, so I don't mind cold. Like, I'll go out and have fun. No, this was like ridiculous. I was like, somebody here needs to give me a jacket because it's like way too cold. My California clothes don't even cover like the coldness. They don't make warm enough.
I couldn't even imagine
to take. No. You have to buy jackets out there. You really do. It's a thing. And so, but like, I fell in love with it. It was awesome. Literally all of like it felt like all of Ohio was supporting. All of Ohio was supporting. Like, everybody was there tailgating. Streets were shut down. Like, the shoe was filled with people. It was so fun. Like, we got to walk on the field, meet players. Like, and here I am, like, little like 15, 16-year-old me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, Ohio State, this is so cool. Like, all these people, but no, I mean, it was a really good time. And I was like, I came back and I like told my dad, I was like, Dad, like, I think I want to go to Ohio State. And he was like, Ohio State. Like, he wasn't big in college athletics either. And he was like, why would you want to go there? And was like kind of mad at me. And then he visited too my senior year, and he was like, okay, like, I get it now that we're good. And so I ended up committing like towards the end of my sophomore year. And then, the normal process after that. So you sign your senior year. I took my official visit my senior year, and then I went and I had a great time. I loved it so much. So I stayed in Ohio an extra year after I graduated, just living out there because of the connections I made. But I mean, it was great. Being a student athlete at Ohio State is like unmatched. It's insane.
Yeah, I bet just being an alumni from there and playing with so many incredible other student athletes like that, I just couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, like, everybody at Ohio State is just good, and they're competitive, and they care about their sport. They also care about their school. The professors, the coaches, both are working with one another to like help you be successful on both sides. Even with with softball, especially in Ohio, because we can't play there in the winter because it's too cold, like early spring, winter, because it's too cold. We travel a lot. So the first 5 weeks of season, I'm probably in Ohio for like 3 days a week. The other 4 days we're out of town. And so you can only imagine trying to keep up a college schedule, like academic schedule, while balancing your college athletic schedule and not being in town. So you really have to have a good relationship with your professors. As long as you're willing to work ahead of time and just be on top of your communication and time management, and you're a good student, like, they will help you.
Yeah. Can you kind of take us through just your daily grind? Like, what was the biggest surprise for you your freshman year? Because everything's new, right? Like, the dorms are new, the food hall's new. I know I was so excited about the buffet, and I slowly had to realize you can't eat like that every single day, right?
Yeah.
But
so I guess
and just like
surprise,
6 a.m. workouts, all that stuff.
Yeah, those were tough. As soon as I'm lucky enough where if I get into a rhythm of morning, I'm okay. But those first 2 weeks, super tough. But so we had in the fall, our schedule was we wake up for like 6 a.m. weights, I guess. So we do 6 a.m. weights, we do conditioning afterwards, and then we would have our practice block from like 8 to 11. And then after 11, the day was kind of ours as students and just for like our lives. So 6 to 11 or 7 to 11, that morning block was softball. And so just expect to be here. You really have to be on top of your time management. Because imagine being scattered. You have a 4-hour practice, you have a 4-hour block of class, you have to do 2 hours of rehab, you have to do this. It's definitely a lot, and it's not for people who aren't committed. You have to be committed.
Yep.
And
no,
so for
absolutely.
Your own health,
It's a full-time job. You're grinding in and out every day, and especially, you kind of touched on it really quickly, but suffering from that injury, that's not easy for any athlete, especially in your junior year and then going into your senior year. I know that really affected you. And how were you able to, mentally stay in the game and be there for your teammates and support them?
Yeah. So I'll kind of give you a little background on my injury. So I tore it against that team up north, Michigan, around beginning of April, my junior year. So I tore it in the game, and through the rest of the season, so rest of April, May, my trainer was awesome. She basically would have taped me a fake UCL. And UCL is like a pretty common overhand baseball injury. And it's typically you get surgery and you're out for a while. A lot of people will redshirt or just take a year off if you're already in the pros or whichever you're doing. And that was not something that I wanted to do. So I spent all summer, I kind of did a treatment where they were just inserting my own plasma back into my elbow to kind of promote a healing process and see if I could get away with not having surgery. Didn't really work, but I still didn't want surgery. I didn't want a red shirt. It was really important to me to graduate with the people that I came in with. And so they kind of just became my support system. And the stuff that I was doing for them. I was like, okay, like, look, I still want to play. I still want to be competitive. And so I'm going to do everything that I can do. So when I came back in the fall, I was pinch running a lot. I only pinch ran in the fall games. I was doing any type of running that I could do in practice. I was base running for everybody because I wasn't in the field throwing. And then any type of left-handed drill that I could do, I was doing. And so it was a lot of just kind of finding like my nook and seeing where I could go and how I could be helpful to the team. And so that's kind of what it became. And if I'm helpful to the team, I'm making them better and I'm making myself better. My trainers were super helpful. My coaches were supportive. And just like with my schedule, when I did start throwing, I had a longer throwing progression. And so I was always the last one warming up, and like, they'd be like, okay, Taylor, like, are you done? And I'm like, I got like 10 more throws, you guys. Like, I'm like stretching it out. And so like, but it was nice. Some coaches, they'll just be like, hey, you're done. And I'm like, no. I need 12 more throws to stretch out or we're going to get rehurt. Like, so it was cool. And everybody was supportive. It helped me just when I was trying to help. And so I was like, okay, you need a pinch runner? I'm fast. Put me in. Like, I won't dive. I'll slide, or I'll just get there so I don't have to do any of that. Like, I just kind of found a space to kind of fit in and where I could help. And that's what we did.
You started Sherose at Ohio State University. I just wanted to see if you can kind of explain that a little bit more and tell everyone how that kind of came about and how important that was to you.
Yeah. So my senior year, I actually had a friend, Chantel Ray, on the track team at Ohio State. And we kind of had bounced ideas off of each other because there was not a group for Black female student athletes at Ohio State to kind of come together. We knew each other from passing, and I would know some other girls on teams, and we would just like say, hey, but we weren't really connected. The only people who were connected were like the basketball team was, and there were more than one like Black female student athletes on a basketball team, on the track team. But sports like softball, lacrosse, field hockey, we had like one or two. I was the only one my senior year. I had two most of my career. Lena Springer played, but she was older, so she graduated out. And then, so there were always just one or two of us. And I kind of wanted just a group, like a forum for us to come together and kind of just get to know each other, because we didn't. And we go through just different things in a day, like just different day-to-day things in the day of life. I was a Black female student athlete, which is a lot of part of what conversation is now with Black Lives Matter and all of the stuff going on just everywhere across the nation. This was started like 3 years ago before it was like popular. And so it was just something that we were feeling like we need a forum to talk. We need a forum to just see how everybody's doing, check in. We want to get closer with people because like we are who we are and we are who we have. And so it was just something for us to come together. It got kicked off the second semester of my senior year. So we would meet about once a month, once every 5 weeks. It kind of depended. I was in my spring season. And so it was like, I had to find times that worked for me. And then Chantel also was a track runner. And so she was also in season. But we would meet about once a month. And so it's still going now. They're doing great.
Awesome.
One of the girls that I know, her name is Taylor Pack. She played for Corona Angels too. She's now at Ohio State, a Black female student athlete. And she sent me a text about a couple weeks ago that she's now involved in it. We have that slight connection being a Corona Angel, and now she's at Ohio State, and now she's involved with the group that I had started 3 years ago. And so it is really cool to see that it was something that is good and people are benefiting from. And I definitely like to check in and just see like how it progressed. Cause for me, it was like, we had 4 or 5 meetings and then I was graduating. I stayed for summer to try and, and I was in summer meetings trying to just like keep it afloat as we had new people come in, people become presidents, they have a whole council now. And so, but it was just cool. And I'm just like happy that it was something that I was able to get started at Ohio State and like, they're still using that forum.
Yeah, that is so incredible when you told me that. And just for familiar faces, around campus, I mean, that's just so important. Athletes always stick together, and especially for you to start that program, I think that's awesome. So now you're coaching at Howard University, and how are you kind of using what you've learned as a student athlete and using that now as a coach to help support these women and give them good foundations for not only softball and while they're at Howard, but for life after softball?
Yeah, I mean, I think it totally helps that I am recently graduated. I'll be going into my 3rd year out, but, still relatable. A lot of the kids, if we had played Howard, I would have played against. And so they know that I also am like talking from experience where like a lot of times when you get an older coach, you're like, oh, like you didn't do this or you could never do this. And I'm like, okay, well, one, I did. And I'll also run these sprints with you right now. Like it is doable. And so just that and just trying to teach them that like things are doable, whichever it is, like even when it seems hard, it is doable. Time management. We have a different setup at Howard because we don't have a field. And so we have to be really on top of time management for everybody because we have to find times to practice. We share the football field with, of course, football, soccer, lacrosse, well, men's and women's soccer, lacrosse. The track is around the football field. So at any given time, if we go out to practice, somebody can be there. And so just kind of teaching the girls like flexibility, and you just have to find ways to get it done if you want to compete and you want to win. And so I'm lucky where I have a team that they want to win and they want to compete. And so we just have to be flexible in finding time and just finding ways to get it done. If we have to do conditioning in the hallway, we have to do conditioning in the hallway. If practice is moved back 30 minutes because of the rain, practice is moved back. But when you're competitive and you want to win, you just find ways. And so that's what we're trying to teach the girls at Howard, and just like, okay, this is what it is. But if you want to win, we'll just have to go 45 minutes later or whichever. And so, I mean, it's cool working with the girls because you just see them turning and like just developing, which is something that I never thought I would do. I never thought I would coach. And so, but to see people developing and have like deeper conversations from the other side is kind of cool. And honestly, being outside the lines on the field in a game, it's like, it's still pretty intense. Like I'm like jumping up and down, like telling people run or do this. I'm like, whoa. Umpires are like, hey, you gotta like get off the field. And I'm like looking down, I'm like over the chalk. I'm like, oh, my bad. But I mean, it's fun. So
I love it. I love how it's gone full circle, and now I can't believe you're a coach. It's so incredible. We're growing up. We are getting old for sure. It's pretty scary.
I'm not getting old.
That's what we like to call denial. That's denial. All right. So I was just going to ask you a question about that. We're going to hop to our speed round. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
All right. What is your go-to drink at Starbucks?
Oh, vanilla iced coffee.
No,
Black.
point blank.
Here we are.
Yeah, knew you would have it.
A little bit of
Knew it.
vanilla syrup in it, and we're good. That's it.
Amazing. Amazing.
Easy.
All right.
Next.
Hot take. Who will win the World Series this year?
Padres.
Wow. I love that. That is
2020.
amazing.
It's the year.
Thank you.
Something's
This
gonna
is
happen.
the year of the fryer.
It's the year.
All right. Last one. Beach or snow? And why?
Beach. Oh, honestly, I mean, beach was quick. I'm at the beach right now, but I love both. I really love both. Beach, like, obviously was quick, but
Obviously.
I don't know. It depends. I like to be at the beach and like I pretend I can surf, so I'll go out on a surfboard, hang out, get smacked around a couple times. But then I also love to snowboard in the snow, and I actually can. I'm actually good at snowboarding, and so I don't know.
Did you trip over your
It
board
really
like
depends.
you tripped over your surfboard?
I did not. I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm good at snowboarding. Surfer,
Okay.
you're like, oh, definitely a rookie. Like, who gave this girl a board? Somebody get her out the water. I'm surprised
Oh
like
my
lifeguards
goodness.
don't come out to like save me when I'm out on the water.
I don't know how that lifeguard did not save us. We needed
And why he
him.
came after when everything was fine.
Yeah, no. He was missing the whole time when we were literally drowning.
I'm like, yo, I'm literally drowning. Please help. Another
Oh
wave.
my gosh.
That's probably
Never
why he didn't
forget.
come. He couldn't see us. We were underwater.
We will improve. All right, dude. Thank you so much for coming on today. That was so awesome
course.
getting to catch up with you. Softball, forever grateful for it. Gave me my best friend. So thank you for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thank you guys for tuning in to HeyBucket Live. For more content like this, be sure to check out HeyBucket Live on YouTube and fastpitchfilms.com. I'm your host, Sammy Glantz. See you next time.